Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squad for boxing news and views from around the internet. Adam Kownacki has been confirmed to face Robert Helenius in a WBA title eliminator on March the 7th. The card is at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. There will also be two other heavyweight fights on the card. Efe Ajagba will be in the co-main event with an opponent still to be announced, and I'll come to that soon, as well as Franch Sanchez facing Joey Dawejko. That will be a 10-rounder. So that's also a decent test for Sanchez, who's a prospect on the way up and unbeaten. So we'll start though with Robert Helenius being confirmed as Adam Kownacki's opponent. Obviously a lot of persistent rumours that Helenius in recent days was going to be confirmed, and especially after he magically appeared earlier this month in the WBA rankings at number 6. I noted that, that was most likely meaning he was going to be facing someone above him. And with Kownacki, sorry about this, all of a sudden the lakes just got up, a big boat probably just rolled past. But with Kownacki number 3 in the WBA, a fight on March 7th, it was always a decent possibility that Helenius was going to be fighting him. And so it is. So in terms of what the fighters are saying in the press release, I'll skip past all the fluff. Kownacki says, "It's great to be fighting in Barclays Center for the 10th time. The last 9 bouts ended in a victory for me, and March 7th won't be any different. I'm happy that Fox is showcasing the fight on free television like it was back in the old days, and with the action my fights bring, it's definitely must-watch TV. I know Helenius will be looking to pull an upset and take my place in the rankings, but I won't let that happen. I'm already in camp with my trainers Keith Trimble and Chris Carlson getting ready. After this fight, I want the winner of Wilder vs. Fury 2. And Helenius, he says, "This is the fight I've been waiting for. All the years of training and fighting will pay off when we fight March 7. Kownacki is about to feel the strength of Thor's hammer. I respect him for taking this fight, but he chose the wrong opponent. This is not going to be a fight, it's going to be a war. I will be the last man standing." So I'll start with Helenius's comments first. In a way, this is a bit of a jumping the queue type situation for Helenius, because if he does beat Adam Kownacki, all of a sudden he will be in prime position in probably a few sanctioning bodies for a potential shot at a title with maybe 1 or 2 more fights under his belt. As it is, Kownacki number 3 in the WBA, he's 3 in the IBF, but Helenius at number 6 in the WBA. And this is a title eliminator, so maybe the winner of this could be made the mandatory to Anthony Joshua's WBA belt. You may remember the video I did earlier this month where I said there was a untold race for the WBA mandatory, and right now I thought Adam Kownacki was in prime position to get it. But Helenius, he can change his stars and jump the queue by beating Kownacki on March 7th. And when you think about sort of the way that Adam Kownacki fights, he comes forward, he uses a lot of pressure, a lot of punches and bunches. He really does come to have a scrap, but he doesn't move his head a lot. He could be there to really get pummeled by Robert Helenius and his big right hand, or even his left hand too. You can see here on screen, this was Helenius dealing to Erkan Tepe a couple of years ago. A brutal shot, and if he can get a couple of power punches away against a static Adam Kownacki who's not moving his head, he could actually score an upset. But Adam Kownacki is the favourite, and the favourite for a reason. Obviously, he's the form fighter of the two. Helenius is actually coming off a journeyman level win at the end of 2019, but before that, he got knocked out, and quite brutally, by Gerald Washington. And Gerald Washington lost to Adam Kownacki this time last year. So there's a bit of a weird triangle that's sort of going on here. And I know not everyone's going to be happy with this matchup. But in terms of how even it is, maybe a 60-40 in terms of Adam Kownacki. Maybe some people would have it a little bit wider, but I actually do think with Helenius, he's a bigger guy than Adam Kownacki. He's got the reach advantage. If he can play it smart and try to catch Adam Kownacki coming in, not a lot of head movement, there is some scope that he could get a knockout. But Helenius, how will he deal with the pressure from Kownacki? A guy who blew Gerald Washington away in a couple of rounds, where Helenius really sort of had a seesaw back and forth with Gerald Washington. So it will be interesting, but I guess Kownacki is the favourite for a reason, and yeah, I'd be picking him at this point, but I'm not completely ruling out Helenius, because Kownacki can be hit, and Helenius does have some power in those hands. But off the rest of the card, so 2 other heavyweight fights. We'll start with Efe Ajagba next. His opponent is still TBA. He's going to be the co-main event. 12-0, 10 KOs. Couple of decent wins in 2019. There was a really good development level win against Ali Aaron Demiresian, and he would have got some lessons from the Iago Kaladze fight in December, where he was dropped in that when he got a bit careless, came in for the finish, and got clipped when his hands were down. So I think we will see a bit more of a polished version of Ajagba in 2020. I think he will be bristling from, being knocked down like that against a guy like Kaladze, who'd fought a number of other guys like Joe Joyce, Adam Kownacki, Michael Hunter. He'd been stopped in those fights in a similar fashion to what Ajagba did, but Ajagba was the only one of those 4 which was dropped. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see who the opponent is, because with it being a co-main event, they can't really drop down too much further than the last opponent that he faced, which was Iago Kaladze. So if I was to hazard a guess, and if they're going to make it from guys who either are in the PBC stable or fight for PBC cards, for example, time to time periodically, I would guess that maybe Travis Kaufman or potentially Joe Hanks, they seem to be guys that get plugged in at different points. It could end up being one of those, type of opponents. It's someone on that level, around the same level as Iago Kaladze. But they're going to match him carefully. They don't want to step him up too fast, because clearly there's still some development left for Efe Ajagba. But I do think 2020 will be a good year for development for the Nigerian. And the third heavyweight fight on the card is Cuban Franch Sanchez-Faure. He's going to be fighting Joey Dawejko. So Sanchez is 14-0, 11 KOs. He's coming off a recent win over Jack Mulawai. Didn't look fantastic in that one, but it was a relatively short notice that he was brought into that. That was actually going to be Ajagba and Mulawai, but then Ajagba had a back injury or something, something like that. So Sanchez ended up getting the win there, but this fight, it is, I think, from the competition that he's been facing, a step up of sorts. Joey Dawejko is like a high-level journeyman, a record of 29, 7, and 4. He's a good sort of gatekeeper-level guy, and he's very tough and durable. I think that Dawejko will end up taking Sanchez the distance, and maybe even give him a few, bits to think about during their fight. If Franch Sanchez can use his height and his reach and a little bit of movement, he can keep Dawejko at bay and probably get a relatively lopsided decision. But Dawejko shouldn't be completely underestimated, and if you're not good enough, sometimes, as a high-level sort of journeyman and gatekeeper, the gate can be closed. But it's a decent sort of development fight for Franch Sanchez-Faure, so I like it. But what do you make of this? Helenius and Kownacki confirm Efe Ajagba the co-main event, and Franch Sanchez-Faure will be fighting Joey Dawejko. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.